Hey everyone, it's Wowous. We're here with a Hearthstone video. We're talking about the top 10 epic and legendary cards we're going to miss with the Year of the Dragon coming to an end. There are three sets that are rotating out: Journey to Unguro, Knights of the Frozen Throne, and Kobolds and Catacombs. And we're going to count down the top 10 cards that we're going to miss the most from those sets as the rotation happens. Now we're going to skip again in Baku. We talked about him, the two of them in a previous video. They're getting rotated out in Hall of Fame early. So let's talk about the others though that have had a huge impact. So we'll start off with number 10. In number 10 is Ultimate Infestation. This card was a beast, especially when it first came out. It was played in nearly every Druid deck. It was a pain in the neck to deal with, especially initially. It definitely has waned off a little bit over the past couple of expansions, but when this came out, this thing was a nightmare to play against, and it was definitely a must-have card. Moving on, number 9. It is Blood Reaver Gul'dan. Blood Reaver Gul'dan really created a whole new playstyle for the Warlock, and there'll be a couple of heroes in this list. This Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion really was the most impactful expansion in the game, I think. And these heroes that came out were a huge part of it. And so this lifesteal hero power really gave that end game. It really made you worry less about taking damage as a Warlock. And this is a card definitely that's going to be you're going to feel it when it's gone when it rotates out. Let's talk about number 8. Number 8 is, along with that, Void Lord. Did anyone ever play against a Warlock deck that's not running Void Lord? It's basically used in every Warlock deck these days. It's just a super powerful card. Its Death Rattle is you have to play around it. You have to either silence it or you have to get rid of it quickly. And then when you combo it with Blood Reaver Gul'dan and it comes back, it's just a mess to get through, and it just adds so much value to that late game for the Warlock. So at number 8, it's Void Lord. Number 7 for us, we're going to move over to the Priest, and we're going to talk about Psychic Scream. Psychic Scream shuffles all the minions into your opponent's deck. As you can see here, I never actually crafted this because I moved away from Priest in these last couple of expansions, so for me, I never used it, but I had it played against me against every type of Priest deck out there, and anyone that's played in the last year or two has definitely felt Psychic Scream knock out your entire board, usually at an opportune moment. So this was something you always had to play around, you always had to be careful of, and it had a huge impact. Number 6, maybe a little bit surprising, but it's actually the most played epic in the game right now, which is a little bit surprising. But Gluttonous Ooze is the 3/3 that destroys your opponent's weapon and gains armor equal to its attack. It's just an upgraded version of Acidic Swamp Ooze. It's got a lot of value for a 3 mana card. The ability to knock out weapons, the ability to gain some armor. This is just an all-around functional card that worked well. And it probably is one of the best cards from Journey into Unguro, which overall I don't think was the strongest expansion that came out. So this was really the card to get from it. Moving on to number 5, we have our friend Frost Mage Jaina. Frost Lich Jaina. Frost Lich Jaina is one of the coolest heroes in the game. She was a pain in the neck to play against. She summons a 3/6 water elemental. Your elementals gain lifesteal. She really created the whole elemental mage play, and she just had almost infinite value at the end of the game because you had to constantly make sure not only were you killing her elementals, but you weren't leaving any of your minions at 1 damage because she would then convert them. So a very, very powerful late game tool, especially with Ice Block rotating out to the Hall of Fame. This really gave the mage some staying power at the end of the game, which was much needed, and we saw a lot of mage play because of it. At number 4, it helps if I can spell. Carnivorous Cube. Carnivorous Cube, certainly in the early years when Cobalt and Catacombs came out, had a number of broken combos with it. The ability to destroy a friendly minion and then to pop two back out just had a lot of value. And there were a lot of different combos that you could play with this that just were extremely frustrating to play against. And this card was used in a ton of decks, and it's still actually used in quite a few decks, even till today. But it definitely waned a little bit in the last probably year, but it had a lot of play in that first year that it was out. And then in number 3, we have the Prince himself, Prince Kell. Obviously, one of the first cards of the, if your deck has no 2-cost card type variety, but the most powerful by far. And basically the 2 mana spot didn't have a ton of super strong minions, so it just made a lot of sense to play this in a lot of decks. And it got a lot of value, especially if you had a lot of minions, or you could combo it with some other stuff. He was, definitely going to be missed because he was fun to play, annoying to play against, especially when somebody dropped it on turn 2. But it was a really fun card to throw in your deck and try to build around. At number 2, we have, of course, the Lich King, probably the most played legendary lately. He just has a lot of value. Any sort of late game, the cards that he created were so cool. The Death Knight cards were just awesome, and he was really a must-have legendary. That entire expansion, the 9 heroes plus him, made that, I think, probably the expansion that people spent the most dust on. I would be willing to bet, just kind of having seen and looked through these cards before this video, this was just a beast of a card, and it was a must-have in a lot of decks. Before we move on to our number 1, let's talk about just 3 honorable mentions. Corridor Creeper got nerfed, but when it came out, it was not what you wanted to play against. He was a pain in the neck, not as strong as he used to be when he dropped early as a 5/5, but we'll miss him, but more so pre-nerf than now. We'll talk about Primordial Drake. This dragon was, I think one of the most played dragons in the game, an all-around great taunt to pull from Stonehill Defender. A lot of value, a lot of great, the ability to damage all the other minions, some great combos with different stuff. He was a lot of fun, and definitely a taunt minion that I'll miss in the late game. And then our last honorable mention, the mage card, Meteor. This card bailed me out quite a few times playing mage decks, to be able to drop that 15 damage on a really strong minion. It was just a really fun card to play, and we'll definitely miss that one. And that will wrap it up with our number 1 card that we'll miss the most from this year of the dragon, and it is, of course, Deathstalker Rexar. Deathstalker Rexar, probably the most annoying endgame to play against. The Build-A-Beast just was one of the coolest mechanics that the Hearthstone creators came out with, and it's just really seen the rise of Hunter. Hunter's become the deck to play, and it gets a huge play rate right now, and a lot of it's because of Deathstalker Rexar. He's a must-have card. He really made, again, the Hunter decks so valuable, so you can definitely understand why this is at number 1, because even if you didn't play it a lot, and you probably did, you probably played it against it a lot. So yeah, if you have any thoughts about cards that you're going to miss that maybe we missed, please do leave a comment. And if you enjoyed the video, definitely like and subscribe, and we'll look to do some more Hearthstone real soon. Thanks.